Knysna is still one of the country's best tourist destinations. This is according to SANParks, and I think a lot more people as well. It was in August when the world looked helplessly as the runaway fires ravaged the area. After the fires, there has been good progress in some portions of the Knysna forest, which was affected by the fires. Let's get a bit of an update and find out how things are going and how they're doing. You remember as a program, we went to go and visit Knysna, and that was just before the Oyster Festival. And in fact, it was on the day that the Oyster Festival began. And with us now, just to talk a little bit more about it, is Paddy Gordon, and he is the park manager for the Garden Route National Park. It's so good to have you on Morning Live again, Paddy. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thanks, Leanne. And you?
Very well, very, very well. Thank you. This, of course, all happened in August, something I don't think many of us can forget about very, very quickly. How have you been? How have the recovery efforts been up to now?
Well, it's the fire occurred in June. We spoke in August, just after the fire.
Absolutely.
And it's been still quite traumatic for the people of Knysna. Many people lost their homes. Some people lost everything. And it's affected the entire the community of Knysna. The municipality itself has done enormous amounts of work, but you might remember that we put together a multi-agency party called the Knysna Rebuild Initiative, and a lot of work has come out of that. The Knysna municipality obviously had a lot of the infrastructure, the services that were destroyed in the fire that had to be rebuilt. Some people are starting to rebuild their homes, their lives. Some people have moved out, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Inside the national park, things are looking really great. An area that was hugely impacted was an area called Harkerville, where there was coastal fynbos that burned quite a large area, and that is a very popular area for tourists. And some of those places are being restored. We've had good rains. And the tourists are very welcome to come and enjoy the area again.
Indeed, it's a major tourism destination. But obviously, we're sitting now in the biggest tourism part of the year. This is where the SANParks is visited, very much so. But obviously, with the fires having damaged many of the facilities for tourism and also some of the accommodation, how is it looking? Are people still coming and visiting, or are you finding that this year, obviously, people are leaving it until things are built up and they can come again?
Well, the biggest impact, I think, on the tourism industry was the number of bed and breakfast industries inside the town of Knysna that were impacted. In the national parks, remember, the Oyster Festival was successful because of the many activities that were in the national park, and those could continue. The forests had very little impacts. This year there was a bit of damage in the forest, but in general, less than 1% of the forests were impacted. The lakes, the rivers, the beaches that attract the people are all still in good service. People are more than welcome to visit. It is the actual bed and breakfasts that have been hammered quite a bit, and there are other places that people can come and stay, but the national park, the natural estate, is really looking great in the Knysna area.
Well, that's great to know, because I mean that's a big tourist destination. And do you find that particularly over this time of the year, it's very, very well visited?
Oh, you can't move in the Knysna Garden Route area over this time of the year.
Yeah.
It's great for us. We're looking forward to get the people. The area is used for water sports, so that is all going to be up and running, and people are getting ready for that. A lot of cyclists come to the area. That Harkerville, Diepvalle area, very popular for cyclists. Those routes have been reopened. Coastal footpaths, trails, running areas, those have all been reopened, or some of them rerouted. So the natural estate is ready for people to come. And we're expecting, and we're ready for them, and we're hoping people will come and enjoy the garden route again.
That is fantastic. Well, I'm so happy to hear this. I really am. Now, just in terms of counting the damage, and has there been a figure put to how much damage was actually caused by these fires to the parks?
Yeah. A huge amount of the damage was homes that were lost, infrastructure to the municipality, and then, of course, the commercial timber guys. They suffered quite a lot of setback in timber for many years that have been burnt. And the figure is thrown around between 3 and 4 billion rand of commercial damage to the Knysna Garden Route area.
Yeah, which is a great, it's a great loss. It really is. Have there been any lessons that you've learned? I mean, are there things that can be done differently to avoid the extent of damage that was caused by these fires?
I think even before the time, there were multi-agency agreements in place but I think these have been cemented and maybe more agencies added to it because it's such an integrated problem. The prevalence of alien, especially Australian wattles, they really added to the danger of the fire. So there's a lot of alien clearing, additional alien clearing taking place, a lot of clearing of unburnt vegetation on the roadsides to make sure that fire breaks are more effective. We're working towards doing additional what we call control burns. So we also reduce the fuel across the area. And then just making sure our responses, multi-agency agreements are smooth and everybody's ready to respond again.
Yeah.
It was obviously a fire that happened under extreme weather conditions. And we're hoping that won't happen again, but we have learned from our experiences.
Yeah. You know, I remember at the time, and perhaps you can shed a little bit of light on this for us, there was a lot of talk that, in fact, these fires were deliberate. There were investigations into this. What came out of these investigations? Were they deliberate, or was this just, you know, the hand of God at play?
No, I don't think this. We haven't seen the final results of the investigations. There were 2 investigations done, quite intensive. Most of them will report the extreme weather conditions, because at some stages there were up to 9, 10 fires burning at the same time. So if one thing didn't cause the fire, another set of conditions would have caused the fire. But deliberate fires, we don't think that was the case. Maybe negligence in some cases could be looked at, but the conditions were the biggest culprit. Many days without rain, very strong winds, and exceptionally hot bergwind conditions. Yeah. Really just caused all the conditions for a very monster fire.
All right. Paddy, let's wrap up and sort of give people that are going down to the area any advice, any tips, perhaps safety tips that you can give them, or anything just as they prepare themselves for holiday.
Well, we have had some good rains. The area is recovering and going a bit of green, but we will continue to ask people to be very safe with their braai fires, especially outside. People need to be safe on the water. The water will be extremely busy with boating, skiing, different water activities. And that's always a risk. And we're begging people to be very careful with their families, with their children, to enjoy those water sports, cycling, running, and just taking extra precautions, please.
Wonderful. Well, look after yourselves, Paddy, and I do hope it's a great festive season for you and everybody out in that area. Paddy Gordon, Parks Manager for the Garden Route National Park, giving us an update after those devastating Knysna fires that were in June this year. I mean, it was such a difficult time for everybody there, and it took the whole country by surprise. It really did. But plans in place now, and hopefully, if it does happen again, this will be better handled. All right. The time now is almost 5 minutes before